Good day. It's Sandy, your sister and your friend. Welcome to our YouTube channel. I'm so glad for you to join me here today. It means so much to me for you to watch my videos and make comments down below. I really appreciate anything that you have to say about what I'm sharing with you. Today, I wanted to talk about the garden. How do we return to the Garden of Eden? We know the story, or maybe you know the story in the Bible of Adam and Eve, and how Adam and Eve walked in the garden in the cool of the day with God, and how much they enjoyed that. He looked forward to it, and they looked forward to it. It says that they were naked and they were unashamed. They were not ashamed to be completely vulnerable to God and each other. They were not afraid of being known by God, and they were not afraid of knowing God. He was not a scary one to be afraid of. He was their father. He was the one who cared about them, who provided for them, who had planted all the trees in the garden for them to eat from and for them to enjoy and to cultivate and for them to have a wonderful life. The word Eden actually means pleasure. This was a place of pleasure for them. And there came a time, we don't know when, that it says that the serpent showed up and he spoke to Eve. And now the serpent is cast as an outside character, and perhaps he was, or perhaps it was something that Eve was hearing inside herself. But he caused her to doubt God, to doubt that God had her good always in mind, and that he was keeping something from her. And so she was deceived and turned away from God, turned away from this intimacy that she had been enjoying, and looked to herself, ate this fruit. Just looking away from God is eating of the fruit, I think, and then um, shared that knowledge with Adam, who was just standing there watching all this apparently happen and go on. And it says that their eyes were opened. And their eyes were opened to, they had eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So now all of a sudden they knew good from evil. They knew the contrast. Now there was contrast that they were aware of inside them. I think that this good and evil was always there, but they only knew goodness, had only experienced goodness before that. And now, when they were hiding from God, of course, He found them, um, and and He said, what have you done? And Adam blamed Eve, and she blamed the snake, and everybody had somebody else's who was at fault other than themselves. That's how it goes when we're looking to ourselves for all the answers. And so it says that God cast them out of the garden, and He placed at the entrance to the garden cherubim and a flaming sword. And He told Adam, "You're now, the curse is you're going to have to make your own living. You now, this is really how we perceive that things are. Once we think that we're separated from our Father, that we think we're separated from the source of life, we all of a sudden start trying to figure things out for ourselves. How are we going to do life? How are we going to make this happen? How are we going to be happy? Even though God has already given us everything that pertains to life and godliness, there's nothing that we're lacking. But we come from this place, this separation, this thought of being separated from God brings nothing with it except toil and trouble and working by the sweat of our own brow. And so, what is it, the whole spiritual walk once we're here? By the way, not by the way, but really important to know is who we truly are. Our true awareness never left the garden. uh, our true self is in the garden. That's where we are one with God. And being one with God never changes. It can't change. There's nothing, God never changes, and our being one with God never changes. So, who we truly are has always been in this garden of pleasure. It's never left. But here we are in a body. We're in a body here on the earth, and we know that there's something missing. When we truly get still with ourselves, we know that we have a yearn for something. It says in the Bible that God placed eternity in man's heart. There's something here that knows that we are eternal creatures, that we are one with God. We know that deep inside of us. Every single person knows it. And when we start waking up, we realize that we want to that experience. We have this memory of this far off place, of this place that we are, and this calling us back. Our awareness is calling us back to ourselves. God and Christ consciousness, primordial source, however we want to phrase it, it's calling us back to remember from whence we have come. And we all, when we get still, we realize that. But we have to go through the flaming sword. The flaming sword is there to help us burn off the dross, the wheat and the straw that we've picked up here in this world. Jesus told his disciples that you're in the world, but you're not of the world. But there's so much that we have picked up that's of the world, and that's what's got to be burned off. Many places in the Bible it speaks of God as the flaming fire, as and it's a fire that doesn't burn us, not the truly who we are, but it does burn off all these things that we've been carrying around. So as we're becoming aware, it's last video I talked about how these things rise up, and when we feel them rise up, we just need to look at them and they lose power. But there are some things that have more power because we've carried them around for longer. They have to do with more intimate relationships, probably things that have happened in our lives that have been very hurtful, where we have suffered so much, and that those things have had great power in our lives. And a lot of times they actually feel like knots that we have tied up. We've tied these things in knots, so they're not easy for us to let go of. It's not like the weather. It's not like the car in front of us. Those things are easy to let go of. These other things, they still, when they rise up, we need to recognize that they're there, that we are at the place now where we can begin the unraveling of these knots, the untying of these knots, the things, these tethers that have held us down. We are not to be tethered. We are not to be tethered in this world. Our soul wants the freedom that our Father is offering us. Christ said that you're going to know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So I'm sharing the truth of this. The truth is you are already free as your true self, and your everything in you, in your whole psyche, wants to be unified with that. So all these things want to be let go of. Deep inside you, you know that you want to let these things go. So we have to go through the flaming sword. We have to go through the fire. It is a cause of suffering, but it's a suffering with freedom on the other side of it. But I just want to let you know that that is our innermost desire, is to return to the garden of pleasure. And it is not, it's simple, but it's not easy. So don't want to minimize the work that's involved in doing this. It is work, and it is a purifying of our soul. And I just pray for you. I pray for you every day that you will be able to start seeing these things come up, and that you will have the desire for the freedom more than for whatever that those things have offered you in the past, have offered me in the past. That we'll want that, we'll choose that, that we'll set that as the intention of our heart, and that will remain there. And we'll have the power. We are empowered to do this when we stay in this time of silence with our Father. That's where we find the power. That's where we find the strength. That's where the Holy Spirit enables us and encourages us and comforts us when He knows how much we're suffering, that we are going to be facing. So I just want to encourage you today to just set that as your goal, set that as your intention, and know that it's not the easiest thing. That, but it is so worthwhile. It's so worth it. You are worth it. You're worth doing the work to enable this to happen in your life. So I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here with me. And just know that you're prayed for and you're greatly beloved. Thank you so much. Bye bye.